Hi everyone, welcome to the new video. So I got this comment from one of our viewer that can you make a structured roadmap for DevOps when somebody is a fresher to DevOps domain or they want to switch from some other stream to DevOps. So today I am bringing this explaining that what all you need to cover in each tool and what projects you should work on, what you need to be keeping in your GitHub, and then what more roles you can search jobs into with these tools and skills. And we'll understand that what should be our approach when we are thinking that we'll switch our domain to DevOps. So without further ado, let's start. So first come as DevOps. Try to understand that what is actually DevOps. What is DevOps? What we actually do in DevOps? What is development? What is operations? What is CI/CD? What is infrastructure as code, monitoring and logging, automation, container, cloud, version control, and DevSecOps basic. First, try to understand that what these terms are. What DevOps mean, what we do in development, what we do in operations, and then comes DevOps, combining both development and operations. Then comes CI/CD, then come infrastructure as code, monitoring and logging, automation, container, cloud, version control, and DevSecOps basics. So ideally, there are these stages: code, build, test, package, deploy, monitor, improve. We know that what happens in each state. First we check out the code, then we build the code, jar file, artifact, whatever is required, then we test it, we package it in a docker image, like a docker file we'll create, and we'll create a docker image, then we'll do the deployment, we'll monitor, and we'll improve. But as a DevOps engineer, change your approach. Like suppose you will have one team coming to you that I have my code here. This is what the code is written in Java, Python, whatever tech stack. Now you need to create a pipeline to do the deployment in the environment. So it is you as a DevOps engineer, your responsibility that what build tool you'll have to use, how you'll create a Docker file, how you'll do the deployment, what strategy you'll apply, the pipeline and everything. You need to test that out. So think it as a DevOps approach, that it's not like you just know that okay, we do build, we do test, we have learned some command and that's it. No, think of it like, if in an organization you are working and you will be assigned a team, and they will ask you that these are the repos, these are 20 repos, you need to create a pipeline for this, you have to understand from them. Communication is the key in DevOps, where you need to tell them that I want to know what all manual steps you do right now, how are you doing deploying it, or if you're not deploying it, what are you expecting, where after deployment how the application should look like, what are the expected files you want to move, what all tech stack is there, what git branching strategy are you using, what all is there any database being used, how are you, have these questions. This is your as a DevOps engineer, your responsibility to understand all these requirements. After gathering all the information, you will have to write a pipeline, you will have to test the deployment. Till then, as much the deployment is done on production, and if any issue happens, you will have to support them. So this is actually the mindset that you should have when you're going to choose DevOps as a domain. Okay, so this I wanted to let everyone know, that start thinking in this way. Now in phase 2, after don't go deeper, just understand what all these terms mean. Then understand what is Linux, like topics to learn, files, directories, what these commands, what are the permissions, user, group, processes, services, SSH, package management, environment variable. networking basic, disk and memory management, logs, bash basics, shell scripting. The commands, important commands like ls, cd, cp, mv, rm, chmod, chon, like change ownership, ps, stop, df, du, grep, find, curl, ssh, systemctl, journalctl. The mini project is deploy a simple application on Linux VM. Put a code in a GitHub and use a Linux server and deploy it using the writing the shell scripting or shell command, or using the commands, try to deploy. Okay. Then networking. Phase 3 is networking fundamentals. You should know about IP address, public versus private IP, ports, TCP, UDP, DNS, HTTP, HTTPS, SSH, HTTP status code, firewalls, load balancer, subnets, routing, and NAT. So this should you should have idea about. Then phase 4 is Git and GitHub, like Git basic, repository, commit, branch, merge, pull requests, merge conflicts, git ignore, git workflows, GitHub basics. So basically you should know about these commands. Project is create a GitHub repository containing application code, readme, docker file, deployment, documentation, architecture diagram. Basically this is how you should store the project in your GitHub. You should have readme for it, proper readme, or the architecture diagram, or the CD documentation. So proper way. Then phase 5 is cloud AWS. Then cloud AWS or Azure. Anyone you can go for. So for cloud AWS, it's like compute, like VMs in the Azure, auto scaling, load balancer, networking part, and storage part. You should know IAM in AWS, but in Azure it will be service principal, ID, and databases, monitoring. Okay, it's not like how many services you know in any cloud. It's like if you are given a task to deploy an application on cloud, you will be able to create the infrastructure, you will be able to establish the networking, and you will be able to deploy the application on the cloud. It is not like I have worked on 50 services. It is how that you will be able to deploy the application from scratch on the cloud. Okay, if you have to create a Kubernetes cluster, you'll be able to do create it and deploy that, you make it running, and then deploy the application on that. So this should be your approach. Then phase 6 is Docker. What is container versus VM, images, container, Docker file, Docker volumes, Docker network, Docker registry, Docker compose, and Docker hub. Docker compose, you should know a little bit how we write the Docker compose file, where we include multiple services. So these are the Docker commands that we should know. Then the project is take the application from the previous project and containerize it. What we did, directly application, like created a jar file and then deployed on Linux server. Try to create a Docker image of it and then create a Docker container on EC2 server. Phase 7 is CI/CD, where you have to learn one CI/CD platform properly, like Jenkins, GitHub Action, Bitbucket, or GitLab CI/CD. And then this should be followed. Whatever you were doing manually, now create a pipeline in the CI/CD tool and do it. Okay. Then comes infrastructure as code. So now you know that manually on cloud how you will create a infrastructure or any resource, but try to do it in a code way using Terraform. To, get up more to know more about Terraform provider, resources, variable, outputs, modules, state, remote state, and these commands. Project is, instead of manually creating AWS infrastructure, try to create it through Terraform, and then you can have a modular approach, you can go further. Then comes important part, Kubernetes. Kubernetes very must. If you don't know Kubernetes, if you are as a fresher, of course you should not know very advanced, but at least whatever you know, basic thing, you should know it perfectly, and you little bit you should have deployed. Okay. So pods, deployment services, namespace, config map, secret, ingress, volume, health check, scaling, rolling updates. All this comes like a advanced part of Kubernetes, like Kubernetes, then Helm, then Argo CD, GitOps tool, then service mesh. It is like an advanced part of Kubernetes if you want to go more advanced. Okay, so the Kubernetes architecture, control plane, worker nodes, Helm basics, and for hands-on project, Minikube kind or managed Kubernetes such as Amazon EKS. Phase 10 is monitoring and observability, Prometheus, Grafana, logs here, Cloud Monitor, CloudWatch. So we should understand about CPU, memory, disk, network, application logs, alerts, health checks. Phase 11 is security basics. I am least privilege, secret management, about keeping the secrets, never hard code anything, GitHub repository, credentials, container image scanning. Then these are the projects. I've also made a video previously giving a Kubernetes project. You can uh, check that as well. But these are the beginner level, intermediate level, and advanced level project. Okay. So what should be on your GitHub? Each major project, whatever projects you worked on, whether it is these projects or any other projects, basically in your GitHub repo, you should have README architecture diagram, source code, Docker file, CI/CD configuration, Terraform, Kubernetes manifest, screenshot, troubleshooting notes, and README should explain these all things, problems, how these problems are solved. These are some interview preparation, but I would say that watch mock interviews as much as you can. There are many um, channels which have mock interviews. Please watch that. It gives a very good idea about how to frame your answers, how to present them in the interview, and you'll get some idea that what you're missing, what you can add in your answers more. You can also search for these jobs apart from DevOps, like junior DevOps engineer, cloud support, infrastructure engineer, DevOps intern, platform engineer, SRE junior, build release engineer, Linux system administrator, cloud operation engineer. So basically, this will give you a lot of idea. If you work in these domains as well, still you'll get a good grip on DevOps tool, and you can further move ahead. Then DevOps fresher roadmap. This is what we have already seen. So yeah, uh, try to create your resume after this. After creating projects, try to create resume, and in that mention about your GitHub you links of your project. Start preparing for interview by watching mock interviews and the interview questions. Start applying, and hopefully once you'll give um, 2 to 3 interviews, you will get to know the run. So yeah, that's all. Bye. That's it for today's video. I hope it's helpful. Please let me know your views in the comment section. Till then, take care. Bye.